It's time for the NFL Week 5 player props. Let's talk a little football. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, and it's Friday, baby. That means it is NFL player prop time. We have been on a roll with these. Let's stay hot this weekend. If you're looking for the best game bets, that video is out now. We talk 3 of our favorite bets, some spreads that we like, the Week 5 trends, a trends parlay. It's all in there. So go check that video out now. And if you don't know, our first NHL best bets video just was released a couple days ago for that first game. Karan went 3-1. Go show him some love next week as he starts up on the videos again when the entire season starts for everybody. But we are excited to have hockey on the channel. But we got to talk about a new Jabbo MVP. Let's pull it up. Thank you to @StackingCream8488 for becoming a Jabbo MVP. We really appreciate the support. And if you guys want to become a Jabbo MVP, just click that join button below this video. It's just $2.99 a month. If we bring any value, entertainment, help with your betting, anything like that, and you want to give back, help support the channel, our dream, everything else, we really appreciate it. Obviously, it's never required, just really appreciate it. So we have a lot to get into, but that means we start out with the NFL fun facts. So let's get into it. And this is a quick one. In Tom Brady's first 7 Super Bowls, he scored 0 points in the first quarter. That is absolutely wild. But in this video, we're going to go over our favorite player props for Week 5 with a ladder parlay, of course. Let's see if we can make it 2 in a row. This one is a juicy one. And then our 3 favorite anytime touchdown bets. And then, of course, we'll wrap it up with the recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below. Helps this channel grow, helps the algorithm so more people see this channel. Let's keep building this community. We appreciate it. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button. We are almost to 29,000 subscribers. We are excited. So let's get into it. And it starts with some player props. All right, let's get some winners this weekend, and it starts out with player prop number 1, Josh Jacobs of the Packers, over 65.5 rushing yards at -113 on FanDuel. This is a 1-unit play. Now, some of these bets are going to kind of be correlated to what I talked about in the game bets video, but this Rams defense has been absolutely atrocious, allowing 165.5 rush yards per game. That is dead last in the NFL. 5 yards per carry. That is the 6th most in the NFL. Running backs versus the Rams this season. David Montgomery, 91 yards on 17 carries. James Conner, 122 yards on 21 carries. Jordan Mason, 77 yards on 19 carries. Surprisingly, he didn't dominate. And then DeAndre Swift, 93 yards on 16 carries. And DeAndre Swift sucks. Let's just face it. He was averaging less than 3 yards a carry per game before that game. Every running back has gone over this line and had 77 or more rush yards versus LA. Josh Jacobs carries this season. Week 1, he had 16. Week 2, he had 32 carries. Week 3, 14 carries. And then last week, only 9 carries. But that doesn't scare me at all. It's not because he's going down. It's because they were down by 21 at halftime, getting absolutely shellacked. The game script completely took him out of there. And even with that, I mean, he's averaging 4.6 yards per carry this season. And by the way, in week 1, he had 84 yards. Week 2, 151. And then the last 2 weeks, he hasn't gone over because a little bit less carries. But in terms of yards per attempt defensively, this Rams is going to be tied for the easiest matchup he has had. The Eagles also gave up 5 yards per carry. And in that game, Jacobs had 16 carries for 84 yards versus the Eagles. Game script in this one, it's a 3-point spread. If anything, the Packers could pull away, which obviously helps Jacobs more running in the fourth quarter. I find it ridiculously hard to see the Rams actually pull away in this game and blow the Packers out because I think the Packers win and cover. Obviously, I'll also have a team total bet in this game, but his rush attempts line is set at 14.5. I mean, I like him to get at least 15 carries in this one. So give me Josh Jacobs, one of my favorite bets of the weekend, to make it 5 straight running backs to go over this line versus the Rams, and that is my first best bet. All right, this second best bet is a rookie wide receiver. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. over 52.5 receiving yards at -115 on BetMGM. Some books have this at 55.5. I mean, I like it there too, but I think we're getting great value with BetMGM right here. I hinted at some of this in the game bets video, but let's look at this matchup a little bit. Let's dive in with OUTLIER and see some numbers and go over what's been going on. So in 2024, as you can see there, if we scroll down, you can see he's gone over this in 2 of the 4 games. Now, let's talk about those 2 misses real quick. The first one, his first NFL game he ever played, he had 4 targets, less snaps. His second miss was at Buffalo. The entire offense was horrendous. Trevor Lawrence had no time. They did nothing. We saw it on national television, 47-10 loss. but in 2 straight games now, he has had 9 targets. So he is one of those. He's one of their stud receivers right now, right up there with Christian Kirk, getting a lot of targets. But let's look at the matchup over there on the right now. You can see there's the Colts defense. We already clicked on versus wide receivers. They are 23rd versus wide receivers in yards allowed. And then something else we can check with Outlier. Let's scroll down and go look at some target share now. Nothing like a good target share, but here it is. We got Brian Thomas rapidly moving up. He is now second behind Kirk with a 21.3% target share. You've heard the coach also talk about it. They want to get him the ball a little bit more, and he looks absolutely awesome. I mean, he really does. He's a very underrated rookie wide receiver right now. I'm not going to say that 3 times fast, but if you watch him, it's fun to watch. He has some talent, and he's making big plays. And speaking of big plays, how about averaging 16.18 receiving yards per reception? 13th in the NFL in air yards the last 3 weeks with 285. His ADOT, average depth of target, is around 13 yards. So he's getting some big plays. He already has a 32-yarder, a 66-yard catch this season. With big play guys, you got to love it because you could get a big chunk, if not all of this, in 1 or 2 catches. And if you're the Colts defense or Colts fan, they have allowed a ton of big plays this season. So let's talk wide receivers to go over this against the Colts. Nico Collins, 117. Romeo Doubs, 62. Rome Odunze, another rookie, 112. DJ Moore, 78. George Pickens, 113. Yes, 5 wide receivers have already gone over this line. I like Thomas here to have a big game. I don't mind Kirk either. He's more of the shorter type yardage guy. He gets peppered with targets as well. But I like what I'm seeing from Brian Thomas right now. So give me the Rook to go over 51.5 receiving yards as my second best bet. All right, this third one is another rookie. Give me Jaden Daniels over 9.5 rush attempts. That's right, plus 100 on Bet365. 1 unit play for me here. The books actually have this one juiced to the under. I don't really care. I like the over on this one. Let's pop back into Outlier. And by the way, guys, if you don't have Outlier, I don't know what to say. This is one of the best tools you can have as a sports bettor. All serious sports bettors need those tools, and this is one of them. But as you can see, which I haven't mentioned before, they also give injuries that may impact that player as well right there at the top. But anyways, let's scroll down below that. You can see Daniels is over this in 3 of 4 games. The only time he did not have more than 9.5 rush attempts was versus Arizona, and he still was pretty close with 8. But the main reason, they handed it off to Brian Robinson 21 times and McNichols 8 times. They had 29 running back carries because they ran it down the Cardinals' throat. That is not going to happen as easily against this Browns team. So I expect him to go over this quite a bit. But let's scroll down a little bit, and you can see the rush share, guys. He's just not even a quarterback. It's unbelievable. 34.3% rush share on this team. And then Brian Robinson is questionable. He's expected to play, but still, I think Daniels is going to take it into his own hands or legs in this point. But here's some other reasons why I like this bet. The Browns run man-to-man at the 3rd highest rate in the NFL. If you know football and you watch it, man-to-man is the perfect time for quarterbacks to take off and scramble if they need to, because everybody turns their back and goes and covers their guy. So that's one thing I like about it. And the second thing, the Browns get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. That's one thing they do. And Jaden has been known to run a lot more whenever there's pressure. When that pocket falls apart a little bit, he takes off because he knows he can. He's one of the most athletic quarterbacks on planet Earth. And the Browns get a pressure rate of 40%. I think he is going to take off a ton in this game. Plus, this is going to be it should be a competitive game. It's going to be one of the best defenses he has faced. He's going to have to be a little more creative. He's going to have to use his legs. They're not going to just be able to run down their throat or just pass it at will like he has been against easier teams. And then another bonus, quarterback kneels, they count as rush attempts, guys. Yes, you lose a yard or 2, but I could care less with this bet. So if they have the lead and they have the ball, we could get 1 or 2 kneels. I am not counting on that. I still think they're going to go over either way. I also like his rushing yards. I think it's around 48.5. That's what led me to this bet. I was leaning that way, and then I really dove into it, and I really love this rush attempt. So give me Daniels over 9.5 rush attempts for the 4th time in 5 games as my 3rd best bet. All right, this 4th bet is a half unit play. Give me Curtis Samuel of the Buffalo Bills over 27.5 receiving yards at minus 120 on Bet365. Buffalo Bill, won't you come out tonight? Here we go. Curtis Samuel should be taking on a much bigger role. Khalil Shakir is out. That is the key note in this one. Some books have this already up to 30.5. I love the value here on Bet365. We're going to talk about a nice promotion with Bet365 in just a bit. But Samuel, I expect to play in the slot. Texans have struggled a little bit to defend the slot. Really to defend in general. They're not as strong as we all thought they would be, but you saw it last week. Christian Kirk plays a lot out of the slot, 7 catches on 12 targets, had a good game. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze both had huge games versus them in week 3. There's just been a lot of receivers to have some big games. And this line is ridiculously low, guys. The Texans, they are really good at defending tight ends. So I do expect Dalton Kincaid to kind of be bottled up a little bit. And there's not many other weapons on this team, as you guys know, with Shakir out. So he has not gone over this line yet this season. Doesn't mean a lot to me. He hasn't played a ton of snaps, was battling some injuries. His target share, his snap count should go way up in this game. I'm only making a half unit because it's me kind of predicting what's going to happen a little bit because we haven't seen it yet this year. But still, Curtis Samuel, 27.5 receiving yards. He could easily get this. He could be one of the top 2 targets for Josh Allen in this one. They signed him for a reason. He has talent. 27.5. It just seems like a disrespectful line. I think he has a chance to get 40 or more in this game. So give me Curtis Samuel over 27.5 receiving yards as my 4th best bet. All right, my 5th favorite player prop, T. Higgins, over 4.5 receptions at plus 116 on FanDuel. This is a half unit play. This can be Higgins' 3rd game back here. He was absolutely peppered with targets, 10 of them last week. 6 catches. In his last 2 weeks he has played, he has 16 total targets. Jamar Chase, 13 targets. He is right up there with him. Obviously, Jamar Chase makes bigger plays and things like that. But Higgins has been running some shorter routes, which can be good for receptions there. His A-dot average depth of target in the 2 games he's played, 9.9 yards. He was around 13 yards last season. And we talked about this in the Game Bets video. I expected Bengals to throw the ball an absolute crap ton in this game. I mean, since he has no run game and Baltimore doesn't allow anybody to run against them, they are absolutely elite defending the run. Burrow's pass attempts line, 35.5. It's there for a reason. Higgins has also played Baltimore really well. He has 7+ receptions in 3 of his last 4 games against them. With Chase on the field, obviously defenses have to focus on him. It allows T. Higgins, who has the talent to be a number 1 wide receiver on pretty much every team in the NFL, to really take advantage of it. But some books have this around minus 110, which I think it should be. DK also has this at plus 115. I love the value here for Higgins. So give me Green Tea over 4.5 receptions as my 5th best bet. And I lied to you guys. I don't have 5 best bets. I have 6. Let's go to the 6th one. All right, this one is another 1-unit play, and I absolutely love it. Give me Will Lutz over 1.5 field goals at minus 125 on DraftKings. I know some of you out there are just saying, heck yeah, we got a kicker prop. You've been waiting for it. The Broncos struggle to score touchdowns with Bo Nix. We know that. Their offense is terrible. But they tend to be in lower scoring field goal type games if you've watched any of their games. And they're now facing a Raiders defense allowing the 2nd most field goal attempts per game at 2.8. Red zone defense has been about average in regards to allowing touchdowns in the red zone. 3 of the 4 kickers are over this line against the Raiders. Broncos are a team that is tied for the fewest touchdowns scored in the NFL. 1 per game. It is very hard for them to get in the end zone. But that's not exactly the only part. We still need them to move the ball, and I think they can here. We just need them to do enough to get into field goal range. Will Lutz, so far this year, 10 for 11 on field goals. He has gone over this in 3 of the 4 games. The only miss he had was against the Jets in that rainy 10-9 game last week. And obviously the Jets have a much better defense than the Raiders. So I like him to go over again. Give me Will I Am over 1.5 field goals as my 6th best bet. And now it's time for the ladder parlay. It is that time of the week. Can we make it 2 in a row? We got a ladder parlay plus 550 on DraftKings. Josh Jacobs, 80+ rush yards. Brian Thomas Jr., 70+ receiving yards. That is a juicy plus 550. Let's just talk about it real quick. I already went over these bets, obviously. But every single number 1 running back has at least 77 yards against them. 3 of the 4 running backs have 91+ rush yards against the Rams. I don't think getting 80 from him in this matchup is that big of a task. I'm going to be honest with you. On its own, it's like plus 155. Love the value here. Second one, Brian Thomas Jr., 70+ receiving yards. He's done this in 2 of 4 games this year with the 70 or more. This rookie is a stud. We already talked about that. An elite matchup versus Indianapolis. Big play guy, like I already talked about. 4 wide receivers have already gone over this line versus Indy. Now I'm talking the 70 or more line. 3 have gone over 100 receiving yards against them, including, obviously, Rome Odunze, another rookie wide receiver. But Colts can't pressure. Colts can't cover people. I see a big game from Brian Thomas. So there it is. Let's make it 2 in a row. And the first one we did, we just barely missed. Jacobs, 80+ rush yards. Brian Thomas, 70+ rush yards. That is the ladder parlay for week 5. And before we get into those anytime touchdowns, we got to mention the promotion with Bet365. All right, I can't reiterate enough how important it is to have multiple sports books, especially in the NFL. When you have a 2.5 line on one book and then 3 on another, you want to get the best value, the best odds. And if you're in a state that has Bet365, now is the time, guys. Click the link below in the description. Sign up. All you have to do is deposit $10 and then place a bet for $5. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. You are going to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I mean, it happens very quickly. So go sign up now. It is a great promo, and it does not last forever. So, of course, you must be 21 years or older to gamble. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, back to the bets. All right, let's find some pay dirt. 2-1 last week on the anytime touchdowns. Let's try to get that 3-0 sweep. These are a quarter unit each for me. You guys do what you want, but here we go. Chuba Hubbard. That's right. Hubba. Plus 135 on FanDuel. 21 and 18 carries the last 2 weeks. He is the definition of an absolute workhorse right now. He has scored a touchdown in both games with Andy Dalton as their quarterback. Well, because they couldn't score touchdowns with Bryce Young as their quarterback. Because, well, yeah, he's Bryce Young. He has 1 rushing and 1 receiving, 9 targets the last 2 games with Andy Dalton as well. He can score in different ways. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run it in. He now faces the Bears defense. Overall, yes, they're a good defense. But rushing, that's the way to go if you want to try to exploit this. And I actually like Chuba Hubbard over his rushing yards as well. The Bears have allowed 5 rushing touchdowns to the running back position this season. That's right. Run defense is a little bit lacking. I think they allowed 7 or 8 all year last year. So as you can see with this outlier screenshot right here, Hubbard has a crazy 72.7% red zone rush share. When they're in the red zone, Hubbard gets the ball if they carry it. That's for sure. Every carry inside the 5-yard line went to him last week as well. There's nobody else. Give me Hubba. Anytime touchdown. Second one. Can we make it 3 in a row for the trifecta? Jaden Daniels, anytime touchdown, plus 140 on DraftKings. We are 2 for 2 with Jaden Daniels, anytime touchdown so far. Let's make it 3 in a row. He is a running back in this situation and in all situations. We already talked about him. We have his over rushing attempts, and now we're going to double dip a little bit on him. But he has 4 rushing touchdowns through 4 weeks. That's right. He's a quarterback who has 4 rushing touchdowns through 4 weeks. And as you can see by this screenshot with Outlier, he has the exact same red zone rush share percentage as the number 1 running back on their team, Brian Robinson, at 36.7%. They both have 11 carries. He can break a big one. If they're like at the 2-yard line, they will run it to him. They will get quarterback design plays, all that kind of stuff. We're going to ride a guy right now who's on pace for 17 rushing touchdowns. That's right. So give me Jaden Daniels, second one. The third one, we got to have one longer shot, right? Give me Tucker Kraft of the Green Bay Packers, plus 240 on DraftKings. It's like plus 200 on FanDuel. Absolutely love the value here. No Christian Watson, no Romeo Doubs. He has a 17-plus yard reception in every game this season. And now, Outlier. What I learned from there, weeks 2 and 3 meant nothing for everybody, by the way. They had Malik Willis at quarterback. That doesn't count. They passed the ball like 14 times one game. It was just absolutely ugly. So they scored his first touchdown last week. He had his 2 best games with Love. When you look at the numbers, 37 and 53 yards. When we looked at Outlier on his page, you saw all of his numbers everywhere. When Jordan Love is a quarterback, he is a much better player. That makes sense, obviously. And the Rams defense, 31st overall in allowing touchdowns, 16th versus tight ends. So average matchup. But the crazy part here is seeing the red zone target share that we learned from Outlier. He is tied for the highest red zone target share on the team. That's right, 22.2% along with Wicks. And now there's no Dobbs, still no Watson. We are getting more than 2-1 on the top red zone guy on the Packers team that I expect to score a lot, like we talked about in the game bets. I got to bet this one. Give me Tucker Kraft. So there's my 3 anytime touchdown bets, my 5 player props, my ladder parlay. Let's have a huge week 5. And just a reminder, I will be on the Kerm Show at 11 a.m. Eastern. Go check it out. And we're going to break down every game and give our best bets right up until kickoff. So that's what we got for you today. But before we get out of here, let's check out the recap. All right, we have a full player prop card for week 5. Josh Jacobs over 65.5 rushing yards. Brian Thomas over 52.5 receiving yards. Jaden Daniels of the Commanders over 9.5 rushing attempts. Curtis Samuel over 27.5 receiving yards. That is a half unit play. T. Higgins over 4.5 receptions. Nice plus money. That is a half unit play. And then we end it with the kicker prop, a 1 unit play. Will Lutz of the Broncos over 1.5 field goals. And then let's make it 2 in a row in the ladder parlay. Jacobs 80+ rush yards. Brian Thomas 70+ receiving yards. Plus 550. I am going to put a quarter unit on that. You guys do what you want. But that's what we got. And then anytime touchdown bets. Hubba anytime touchdown plus 135. Jaden Daniels anytime plus 140. And then Kraft. That's right. We're taking a chance with the Packers plus 240 on DraftKings. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. And I will drop some bets also for the MLB playoffs for Saturday on the community tab on YouTube, on X, and on Discord. But hope everyone has a great weekend. Good luck with your bets, and we'll talk to you soon.